Here we have the current stock market update for Super Micro Computer Incorporated, stock ticker SMCI. Before we begin with today's chart analysis, if you find these educational materials to be helpful in your trading, please remember to click the like and subscribe buttons and leave your thoughts below in the comment section so that other traders can find this information more easily on the platform. So we're looking at the 15-minute price chart here. Each candle represents a 15-minute trading period. And, as we can see here, this prior support zone that we were watching right around 44.10 has actually managed to hold up share prices here. So, this is significant in my view because this does suggest that we're starting to develop a bit of a short-term base. Of course, we've seen that, we've seen this before. This is not really, a new development for this stock. But for the most part, the reason that we were watching this price level was due to the fact that, losing this price zone would probably also cause us to lose this upward sloping trend line that has sort of defined share price action and enabled the stock to form higher lows in the process. So, if we sort of move out a bit here, what we can see is that you're starting to get a bit of an ascending triangle type of pattern that is starting to unfold here. So really what that means is you have this sort of flat base here that has now been tested many times. I mean, at the very least, you would have to call this a quadruple top, but it's probably even more than that. I mean, it's really, you're really getting 3 tests here. And, this has been tested many times, this roughly 48.50 level. We were calling it 48.45 previously. So, this is sort of a flat top on this triangle pattern. And then what you have is an ascending base. That's formed with a higher sloping trend line here, an ascending trend line. So we do have an ascending triangle pattern that is starting to form here. You could also make the argument that this is really just a sideways trading range. With support coming in around $37, $38, and then resistance coming in right around 48.50. But for the most part, now that we're starting to see this upward sloping trend line here inside of that trading range, I would consider that to be more significant because that is the chart pattern that is more recent. So that is a positive development for the stock here going forward. We do, of course, need to make a convincing break above that 48.50 resistance zone. That is sort of a major area here because it's very clear at this point that the stock has had a tremendous amount of trouble overcoming that area. I mean, as I said, at the very least, this is a quadruple top, and it's probably more than that. So, and we also have, some upward sloping trend lines even on these shorter term time frames here. So if we were to look at the 5-minute chart, for example, this is also a trend line that would be visible, in those areas as well. And that's almost, another ascending triangle type of pattern here. Because we're still seeing that flat base really at the top of the triangle, and then this upward sloping trend line that signifies higher lows are starting to develop. So you sort of have a series of these, sort of almost a meta triangle, a triangle within a triangle. So overall, these are positive developments. I mean, of course, we've seen this before. This stock is extremely volatile, and it doesn't always obey the trend line signals. But we do have to, that doesn't mean that you simply throw out the technical signals. I mean, these signals are still giving you information. Whether or not it turns out to be true is another story, but, technical analysis is never 100%. I mean, anybody that makes that claim has no concept of what exactly is going on here. We're really just looking at probabilities and market behavior, and our share prices forming higher lows and higher highs as support started to develop around certain areas. This is not a guarantee that these things will continue to work over time, but these signals do give us information, and you don't just disregard the information just because it might not have worked in the past. Something that has an 85% probability is not something that has a 100% probability. So there is a difference between those two things. So as things currently stand here, I would continue to have a positive outlook for this stock. If we sort of quickly look at the indicator reading, we can see what information we can find here. And we can see that overall, there is a positive condition that has developed here. We have seen some negative trend momentum that is showing as a trend here, but as we can see, this is a very drastic line, a very severe downward sloping line. So I wouldn't really expect this to hold up much longer. And as we can see, the relative strength index itself really is starting to threaten the validity of that downward sloping trend line. So this is something that could break here relatively soon. Even just a little bit of upward price movement here should sort of invalidate this downward sloping trend line. And then what that would leave us with would be, a longer term uptrend that does continue to remain valid and is much more stable in nature. So it would be much more difficult to break this trend line than it would be to break this downtrend line. So, on balance, there are some conflicting signals here in the indicator reading, but on balance, I would still consider this to be, a positive bullish reading. And then when we combine that with the fact that, we're sort of seeing a series of ascending triangles here that are starting to form, overall, I would definitely give this stock a positive bias. So, in order to reverse that outlook, what would need to happen? In order for us to become bearish, what exactly would need to happen? Well, specifically in my view, what you would need to see would be a break of this 4410 support zone. I think that would be significant for a few different reasons. One would be that you would be losing all of this exponential moving average support here. You would be trading below the entire exponential moving average cluster. You would also lose this double bottom support zone that has started to form in this area because, as we can see, this has been tested on two separate occasions. And then more than likely at that point, I mean, if we were to drop below 4410, you can see here that you would also be losing that upward trend line, which would really mean that you're losing that dominant, larger ascending triangle pattern. So that would that would also invalidate, this bullish price pattern that we're starting to see here. So a downside break of 4410, I think, would be significant. You could possibly be looking at, at the very least, a retest of that 3980 support zone at that point. But as long as this double bottom support remains intact, I would feel comfortable continuing to support the top side here to have a positive bias for the stock. I wouldn't necessarily be buying right here. I don't think that's a smart move either because right now we're trading at 47.80, and you would be trading right into this sort of 48.50 resistance zone. So that's not really something we want to do. We want to either buy into support zones or wait for a resistance zone to break, and then we buy a pullback from that break. So that really is the way to sort of generate the highest number of gains for a position. So here's the current stock market update for Supermicro Computer, stock ticker SMCI. Our high value trading strategies membership is currently available for a limited time for only $9.99 per month. These high conviction investment strategies are characterized by superior risk to reward metrics that target massive market beating returns over time. Join now to outperform the market. Lock in this special introductory rate of just $9.99 per month for the entire lifetime of your membership and start trading stocks with the pros.